What is up, team? Happy Friday. It's your boy, Derrick Evans here, VA Home Loan Specialist, NMLS 155010. If I sound differently today, it's because I have a pound of plastic in my mouth. Welcome to The Bottom Line. This is where we give you a no-nonsense take on the top news stories in money and finance around the world. Today, we're going to talk about mortgage rates moving in the right direction. Okay, this is a good thing. We're also going to talk about Bitcoin ready to blast off. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff there that most people are completely unaware of about just sort of the history of Bitcoin. It's a very predictable thing. This is why people like it, like myself. I'll show you some really cool stuff there. And we'll also answer your questions. We'll talk about the real estate crash that is not happening, by the way. And we'll do all of that with our good friend, my co-host, Monica Brand. What's up, Monica?
What's up? Happy Friday. It's
I'm glad you
almost
got
time
on.
to go home.
Yeah. I'm glad you're on the flag caravan there. Way to get the stars.
Go.
And I don't see any stripes,
Camo.
but I got stars in there. I'm like, okay, camo, that makes up for it. That's good. All right. So this is the show. It's called The Bottom Line because we're going to cut to the chase on some of the top stories and some of the things that are out there. First and foremost, let me jump into mortgage rates, Monica, if you don't mind.
I know you're really excited. Please.
I'm excited because, we've been waiting for a little bounce and now we're finally getting one. We had this terrible downtrend that's been taking place here for quite some time. And then in my pessimism, I missed this higher low in this cycle right here, which is actually a very bullish sign for mortgage bonds. Now, mind you, this makes no sense because we're experiencing rampant inflation right now, and rampant inflation is not good for bonds. So, this really shouldn't be happening. But if you look at any kind of market where there's been that much of a move in one direction, it's bound to come back. And so I was hoping that would help. And also I was just hoping that the sellers would finally be done. Like if you have bonds to sell, I hope you sold them already. Like, why are you selling them this low, knowing for a fact that, the Federal Reserve is still buying? So I think this is just the Fed doing their thing, just steady Eddie, buying. And they've moved mortgage bond prices higher, and we've beaten a very important moving average threshold here, the 25-day moving average. So now we sort of have free reign to come all the way up here, another 50 basis points. So for a lot of people like who I locked on this day right here, because this kind of looked like it was the end, right, of this little run that we were making. And we never know if these lines are exact or not. We could potentially get a float down situation where you can get a lower rate, which you can do when you're purchasing a home. If you lock and then rates go lower, there is a way for you to get a lower rate. It's called a float down. So there are some people who may have that option available if this thing continues to run. But the good news is mortgage rates just going in the right direction finally. And the only way I can get rid of this list, by the way, is if I talk like Sean Connery. This is what I have figured out.
It's
So
not that bad. You're fine.
It's terrible. I have a pound of plastic in my mouth, Monica. And I have to have it for a year, 22 hours a day. How about that?
You're reading the technical chart, and is there something going on in Bitcoin?
There is.
That you can see the indicators. What's going on? Higher highs, higher lows.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. We'll let's go there. We'll go there. I'm going to wrap up on this by saying there's upside. So, or if you look at the reverse, downside, you want rates to go lower. There's room for rates to go lower from here. And it's actually shaped up perfectly for that. So if you locked, potential float down, if you're floating, awesome. Great stuff. We did experience intraday some volatility here. As you see, we got as low as this today, but we closed up here. So it was a nice volatile day that ended up in a positive way. And this particular formation on this guy right here, this actual last candle is a really good one. That's a bull hammer right there. So it's looking very good for mortgage rates to at least maybe pick up another 50 basis points or so, which could put people in float down territory. So very good stuff there. All right. Bitcoin. Monica, what have you learned?
What do you got? What's going on?
What
Some
have you
doji
learned
bars?
about Bitcoin from me? Tell me something you've learned about Bitcoin.
Oh my gosh. It's the pulse, the new pulse of the economy.
Oh, I'm so glad I put you on the spot.
You didn't say there would be pop quizzes, okay?
So glad I put you on the spot. So Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, is a deflationary digital money mechanism. Basically, imagine if you were an investor and you decided, you know what, I'm going to create something that you can invest in that will be the perfect investment, that will not be altered by any one person who is a CEO or a public figure that's attached to it, where the rules are set from the very beginning and you cannot change them. There's no way to do it, where transactions are verified by thousands or hundreds of thousands of different computers in different places all over the world. There's no way to hack it. And the supply is fixed, and the supply that gets introduced to the market decreases every 4 years by half. So you have a deflationary scarcity scenario, and that is why people are going to Bitcoin. Now, the only thing was it had to get off the ground. It had to become accepted in order for people to invest in it. And that's what's happened now. We're at $50-some thousand per Bitcoin. As of yesterday, and this is from CoinDesk, by the way, tremendous technical analysis done by the guy who did this article. I'll give his name in a second when we exit out of this. And what we have here is, you try to look and see, okay, since Bitcoin is predictable, and since it has these cycles that it goes through, these 4-year cycles where there's a halving that takes place, maybe we can go back and we can look and we can see, when have we seen something like this happen in the past? Well, the most recent time that we've seen, Bitcoin consolidate like this, you can see he's using the Bollinger Bands here, and this particularly the Bollinger Bandwidth indicator. And you can see the last time we went sideways like this was at the very end of the year, in December. We went sideways. Bollinger Bandwidth came down here to 0.15 and made a flat move. And you can see the same thing's happening over here that happened there. You had kind of an up and then came down and was flat. Up, comes down, it's flat, right at the same spot. And look at here, what price were we at? At this price point, we were sort of stuck at 20,000. Bitcoin had a hard time getting through 20,000, Monica. It was a tough spot for Bitcoin to get through. But you see here, it knocked on the door several times and finally blasted through it. Right here, we have almost the exact same formation going on where we have a ceiling sort of capped at 60,000. Or you could say 59, 60,000. And the same thing going on. Bollinger Band's in the exact same position. If we're right about this, and this is all just technical stuff. This has nothing to do. This chart doesn't know that Wall Street's on the way. This chart doesn't know that, Fidelity is filed for ETFs and Goldman Sachs is filed for ETFs and Morgan Stanley is opening this up to their clientele. And Wall Street is coming on board. And by summer, Wall Street will be here full-fledged in Bitcoin. The chart doesn't know that. But the price action and the demand for this has been consistent through the years. So a couple things I want to show you. So this right here is what the action looked like. And look what happened afterwards. Boom. It doubled. It doubled in like a month. So the last time we had this technical formation in Bitcoin, Bitcoin doubled in about 30 days. Once it broke out. We don't know when the breakout will be, but once it broke out, it took less than 30 days and it doubled, put in a double. So that's one technical analysis that you could look at and say, okay, hey, maybe this is a good indicator for what could potentially happen next. Of course, Bitcoin could go down. It could go down. It could go up, just like any investment. It could do that. But let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's say price of Bitcoin by year. Ready to have some fun, Monica? Are we having fun on Friday right now?
Yeah, lots of fun, huh?
Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Okay.
We're so old.
I am so old. Where is it? There it is. Okay, now let's see. I wanted to do this by year. Well, shoot. Okay. So if you look at the price of Bitcoin by year, okay, what you will see is that every year after the halving, this is why you should pull things up ahead of time, because this isn't going well.
Where's your producer?
Right? Who's the producer of the show? Every year after the halving. So we had a halving in 2012, a halving in 2016, and a halving in 2020. The first two halvings that took place, the year after the halving, Bitcoin was up huge, hundreds of percents. I think even over 1,000% in one case. 2021 is the year after halving. We had a halving in 2020. So 2021, we're already up 100% Bitcoin. A lot of people expect Bitcoin to go up and be in hundreds of thousands of dollars before the end of the year. So there you go. So there's some different ways to kind of look at it and go, okay, from a technical standpoint, yes. Do we have movement that we were expecting from Wall Street and Bitcoin? Yes. That just keeps coming. So the expectation right now, I want to give credit to this guy who wrote this article, Omkar Godbole. Couldn't be John Smith, could you? Omkar Godbole wrote a great article here. And there's other charts and other analysis in there. It's really, really tremendous. And CoinDesk. We'll put this link in the description so you can check it out. But yeah, so very, very, very bullish action for Bitcoin right now. And this consolidation that's been taking place in the high 50,000s has been really, really positive.
It's very strong support.
It is a good indicator that it's likely to go higher. And so
And
bottom
all
line,
signs are pointing up.
you know, to bottom line this for you. Bottom line, make sure you own some Bitcoin. Okay, I don't care how much. Just make sure you own some. You can buy $100 of Bitcoin. You can buy $1,000 of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy one whole coin.
Have $2,000?
Buy 2,000.
Possibly.
Yeah, of course. And so
That easy.
You can buy any amount you want. Just make sure you own some, because when this thing goes to $1 million, a lot of people are going to be like, man, that was so in my face. How did I not put $5,000 into it? How did I not get in the game? You know, I think there's 100 bagger left in Bitcoin. I do think we will see $5 million of Bitcoin, you know, within the next decade. So we'll see if I'm right. But the governments, the municipalities, pension funds, Wall Street, these are all people who haven't gotten the game yet, and they're just now putting their game suits on to get into the game. So the game suits. What am I? Do I know anything about sports? They're uniforms. They're game suits.
Do we have a sound effect for that?
I need one. Just terrible. These Invisalign braces are bothering me. I'll be honest with you.
That's it.
Okay, so bottom line, buy some Bitcoin. What else we got?
Okay, so speaking of Bitcoin, yeah, everyone's getting on the bandwagon, you know, governments, whatever. If you can't beat them, you're joining them. And the same, right? I've said it before on the show. You can buy and rent with Bitcoin. Did you know?
Dumb idea. You know, here's the thing. A lot of people are posting this and saying things like this. And you're seeing a lot of companies saying, hey, we're accepting payment via Bitcoin. Anyone who is selling or spending their Bitcoin right now, it's foolish.
Absolutely.
Do not sell your Bitcoin. Do not spend your Bitcoin. There will become a time in our lives where having just one Bitcoin will make you a wealthy, wealthy individual. Do not spend your Bitcoin for any reason. Don't buy a Tesla with it. Don't pay rent with it. Don't buy ice cream with it. Buy Bitcoin and hold it, and trust me, I will not come asking for a commission. It's all yours. You keep it. Don't do anything with it. Think about it like you're buying it for your grandkids. Think about it that way. And if you already have grandkids, think about it like you're buying for your great-grandkids. That's what you need to think about Bitcoin. It will go much, much higher.
But on the side of people or the companies that are accepting Bitcoin, it's a genius move because it's kind of a novelty and it sounds cool.
Yeah, it does. I mean, well, what it is it's showing adoption. It's not a bad sign. You know, it's just showing you that it's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming something that people are paying attention to. But Bitcoin is not really meant to be a currency. And that's the thing that is, I mean, it is a form of currency, but it's more of a form of investment, a store of value, than it is a currency. And this is where I think that something else like maybe an Ethereum or something similar or Ripple will become the actual digital world currency, and Bitcoin will become like gold. It'll be something that very few people have. Like if you have Bitcoin, this is what our grandchildren will say. You have Bitcoin? Your grandpa bought Bitcoin? Yes, he did. You're very welcome, kids. So don't spend your Bottom line, do not sell or spend your Bitcoin. What else you got?
Absolutely. Kind of continuing on with real estate.
Hold
How
on,
do you
one quick
ease the
comment here
housing
from Kenny.
shortage?
Kenny says, I want a
Kenny?
bottom line game suit.
Oh man. I don't know.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming now, Kenny. Thank you for the comment. We appreciate you.
How do you ease the housing? I just said housing, and
Who
I
has
am
braces
not
here?
very
You or
good
me?
at
Come
this
on.
one. How do you ease the housing shortage? Biden is proposing to turn single family homes into apartment zoning, multifamily, I guess, technically.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll pull that up here real quick.
Is that a good idea? How do you feel about that? Because I have a double lot in Kensington,
Mhm.
and it would be a perfect space for apartment complex. But I don't think my neighbors would be very happy about that.
This is a super interesting idea, and you're hitting on all the points, which are that it is interesting, you know, the idea of saying, hey, let's just ease zoning restrictions and allow people to build unit housing in single family lots. I don't think you can do that from a federal standpoint. I do not believe that the federal government can actually make that call and sort of implement that. Um, we'll see if this is something that, grabs hold or not. Maybe they can, and I just don't understand it because I'm not an attorney. But it would be very interesting to see what would happen. Now, my guess is someone like yourself, because you have an extra lot, you would probably figure out a way to build for a 4 unit on that thing in the middle of Kensington amongst all the houses and the calm, heaven that it is over there. And the people who live next to you who don't have an extra lot would probably hate your guts.
Absolutely, already do.
And it very well may decrease values in the area because now you have multifamily housing in the area. So if you start mixing and matching, if you go to, there's certain places, like have you ever been to Arkansas, Monica?
I have not.
Okay. I'm from Missouri, so I have been to Arkansas. Here's what I can tell you. In Arkansas, you could have a $500,000 house right next to a trailer, right next to another $500,000 house, right next to another trailer. The zoning in certain areas, I've been over the whole state, but certain areas, the zoning doesn't really exist. It doesn't look like a good idea to me. But it is an interesting concept that maybe could be tweaked in certain ways to help some people create more units. So this is not a bad idea. And by the way, for everyone who thinks that I'm just a Trump homer and I hate everything Biden says or whatever, no, I'll tell you exactly what I think about anything anybody says. And in this particular case, this is an idea that is worth discussing, I would say, and maybe could be tweaked to actually be genius. So bottom line, let's continue this conversation because we do have a housing shortage, particularly in the state of California, and we need solutions, and nobody's talking about them right now. So either you deregulate construction or you figure out how to, do something like this, but something's got to happen. So I appreciate the fact that we're looking into ideas here at least. What else you got?
Did you hear that SoftBank invested $500 million? It's a lot of freaking money into a new online mortgage company. Isn't everything done online anyway?
It's better.com is what it is. And I don't typically promote other mortgage companies. I think, what's going to happen is there's going to be a massive shift in financial services. The cryptocurrency effect isn't just going to be against the US dollar. It's going to be against the way that all monetary systems take place, which includes the mortgage industry, auto finance, everything. And whoever goes out and innovates in that space will have a dramatic advantage. And it doesn't have to be with, well, we accept Bitcoin, right? No, that isn't it. What it is it's how you use things like Bitcoin on the back end to fund transactions and move money quickly instead of going through the FedWire process, which is super slow and annoying. So Bitcoin, cryptocurrency injection into the mortgage industry, I don't know if that's what better.com is doing or not, but I saw that article, and when I went through and I tried to act like I was applying for a loan, and they basically just have this thing that's called Cadence, which is like an automatic, you push in your questions. It's like when you go to chat and they're like, hey, what do you need help with? This, you click that and it's like, okay, you're having this problem, blah, blah. That's kind of what it is. For me, a lot of people that I talk to who are buying a house, they need a little bit of discussion before you can start answering these questions. You know, a lot of people want to talk to someone and go, hey, here's my situation. Should I even be doing this? Or is the timing better for me? So bottom line, yeah, there will be innovation. I don't know if it's better.com or not. And remember, SoftBank is made of money. So the fact that they put $500 million into it doesn't mean that much. It definitely means that they believe in the, you know, the shift to online for mortgages, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything too drastic. So that's my 2 cents. What else you got?
Absolutely. I mean, when you're buying, I mean, getting a mortgage, your scenario is completely different. And I mean, as you said earlier, if you lock into early, I didn't even know you could do something called float. I would need somebody like yourself to be an advisor, and honestly, to be able to like contact them on the weekend. I mean,
Yeah, I know where you're going with
right?
this. You're correct.
It's that personal touch.
Yeah, it's important, and we're as human beings, we do want it, you know, a lot of times, and I think sometimes people will wish they had it and they won't get it with certain like big banks or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, we brought the questions in today. Let's are we ready for
We
questions, or do you
certainly
have anything
did.
else you want to hit me with?
Oh man, we have so much more, but I know we're almost out of time
Yeah,
already.
got to keep it short. I got a lot more calls to make. So, all right, let's check this one out here. Let's see what this one is. This is from Eric. He says, I love your videos. Thanks so much for the RTP lead. RTP is the Reinvent Technologies SPAC that bought Joby Aviation, which is going to have us all doing our public transport in the air via electric, non-gas operated, essentially drones that are very quiet. It's the most amazing thing ever. He said, I never heard of a SPAC before. If you don't mind, I'm unable to figure out if Joby Aviation is going to have its own stock or if RTP is the stock. Let's look for this investment. Gave your video a like. How about that? Well, hallelujah. Can I get a like up in here? So let me get a share, Eric. Come on now. So he said, thank you for the like. Oh no, I think that was me. I don't know.
I said we said thank you back. Thank
Is
you,
that
Eric.
what it was? Okay. So here's the thing. The reason these SPACs exist in most cases is because they're going to actually help the company go public. That's part of the reason they're there. They're there because they have the connections, and these things used to always happen on the, you know, in the back rooms, you know, the good old boy stuff. Like, oh, hey, we're going to take these guys public, and you know, and the SPACs are cool because they've allowed little guys like us to get in on these things. And so, yes, Reinvent Technologies is going to take Joby public. Joby will have its own stock at some point, but remember, Reinvent owns a big portion of that company. So if you own Reinvent, you will own a bunch of that stock at the absolute lowest possible price. So that is the deal with that one. Thank you, Eric. All right. Next one. Monica, why don't you read this one, Monica?
Excellent. What are your thoughts on alternate coins such as OMI and ADA? I'm a long-term holder of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but find excitement in these coins. Always appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Kevin.
Don't we all? Nothing I love more than Derrick.
Oh yeah, my feedback. I'm not an altcoin guy. I do have Ripple. I do have ADA. I do have Ethereum. I do have Bitcoin. That's it. I think what you've seen here in this consolidation with Bitcoin at this price point, let me see if I have that. I don't know if I have that graph up. No, I don't. So I'll just save it. But there's been a lot of selling of Bitcoin, you know, in the high 50,000 range. There's speculation because there's more and more Bitcoin every day that's coming off the exchanges, meaning that people are bottling it up, putting it in the safe, or putting it in non-custodial wallets. They're taking them off the exchanges, which means they're trying to put them away. They're not trying to sell them. So there's more and more Bitcoin coming off the exchanges every day, yet Bitcoin's coming down. How could it be? Well, a lot of the retail purchasers in crypto feel like Bitcoin's going to pull back because it's done that many times before, right? It goes up really high, makes a new high, and then it pulls back a lot. So they're kind of expecting that to happen. So they're getting out of Bitcoin and they're going into these altcoins expecting the bigger gains. I remember when I first got into crypto, I did the same thing. I bought very little Bitcoin and I was like, you know what? I'm trying to find the next big coin. And that's why I bought a bunch of Ripple, and I bought, some of these other ones that were pennies, and you're expecting, oh, if it goes to $1,000, I'll make millions, Bitcoin's pretty
Where
unique,
I'm at.
right? Okay. So
Doge.
Doge. Oh my God. So don't buy that. Get rid of that thing. So, here's the thing. The cycle when Bitcoin goes to 100,000 all of a sudden, everyone who sold it at 55 is going to buy it again. So the point here, don't try to be a trader, be an investor. If you're going to be an investor, you buy something, you hold it. Forget about it. I bought Ripple at $3, which is like the absolute peak. I have kept it since. It's now worth $1. I will hold it forever. If it goes to $1,000, great. If it doesn't, whatever. Doesn't matter. This just what you have to buy it as an investment. Don't try to trade it because you will not time it perfectly. With the altcoins, I'm not your guy. There's a bunch of guys on YouTube who talk about altcoins. Follow them, listen to them. They know what's going on. I'm not an altcoin guy. I want the best of the best. I want the gold standard. That's Bitcoin. I have some of these other ones because, like the story with ADA Cardano is really, really good. The team that they have there, the stuff that they have going on is like mind-bogglingly awesome. Ethereum is totally different than Bitcoin. They're in two different worlds. Even though they're both cryptocurrencies, the things that they're doing are completely different. I don't even know what OMI is. I'm sorry. Ripple is the most widely used cryptocurrency. Did you know that as actual currency for transactions?
I did not.
So that's why I have Ripple. So I have a few different ones for a few different reasons, but I'm not your guy for those kinds of questions in general, Kevin, but I do appreciate it. And by the way, you can send your questions in. All you have to do is comment on this video. Whether you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, just comment on the video, your question, and we'll address them. All right.
Hey, Derrick.
Next one's from Will.
If I buy different fractions of Bitcoin, how do I know it's the same coin? Sorry, it's a stupid question. Will, thank you for the question.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Not stupid.
Here's the thing. So Bitcoin is like water. Okay. So you can take it in any increment and you can add it to other water. And so you could take 1 liter and then you could take 1 milliliter and you could add your 1 milliliter to your 1 liter. Now you have 1.001 liters. That's exactly the way Bitcoin works. You can take any fraction of it, add it together. What it is think of it like water or like gold. You can take any small amount and you can piece it all together. There's no such thing as an actual Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is just a measurement, sort of like a liter, right? So we're saying, okay, once you have enough of this substance, we're going to call it 1 Bitcoin. So that's why there's also something called sats. A sat is 1 millionth of a Bitcoin. And that is the term that will likely be used if Bitcoin does become the world reserve currency. People will call it sats. They'll say, oh, this costs 50 sats or this costs 1,000 sats or whatever. That's what people will use. So don't worry about the question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't know what the answer is, trust me, many other people don't either. Ask your questions. We're here to answer them. This is the bottom line.
That's good.
I thought so. I'm like looking for I don't really have a good here, let's give ourselves a pause. I don't have a good
wow
ending, dropping kind of. I don't have it. So I don't know what to do there, but that's all I've got, Monica, unless you've got something else.
That's all you got? I don't know. I mean, I was excited about this Microsoft or Apple question.
Oh, Microsoft
Can we
or
throw
Apple?
that in there?
Sure.
Okay.
So that was a big thing that was swirling around in investment world this week, and I have no idea why. Why do you have to decide? Invest half in Apple and half in Microsoft. Doesn't that make a hell of a lot more sense? Why do you have to pick one? Why is everyone even talking about this? It's the same thing with Bitcoin and Ethereum. People are always like, Bitcoin or Ethereum? Buy both. No one says you have to just pick one.
Wow. Debunking the headline.
Damn! Exactly.
He said it here first.
Come on. It's called diversifying your investments, right? Spread it out a little bit. If you're not sure, hey, if you have conviction like I do about Bitcoin or about whatever, or RTP, for example, go big. When you feel really good about something, go big. And on next week's show, I'll talk to you about something I'm going big on.
That is very intriguing, Derrick.
Huge. I got to save it for next week because we're out of time.
All right. Excellent.
All right. This is the bottom line, guys. Hey, share this video. Let's help make your friends smarter than everyone else. Give me and Monica a thumbs up or a question in the comments below. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.